Hey, Louis.
I'm good, guys. How are you?
We're doing well, man. Let's talk a little bit about Preston Stone because I like the kid back when he was SMU. Started kind of rough this season. Talk about how he's kind of turned it around.
Yeah, he started really rough, right? He had 5 turnovers in the first game. I think he never had more than 2 interceptions in any game, and he threw 3 in the first half against Tulane in the opener. But I think since then he's settled down a little bit. I think he realizes he doesn't have to make big plays for this team to win. They've really kind of doubled their efforts in the ground game and opened up some play action passing for him, and he's been a little bit more under control, I think. So I think you've really seen a progression of him getting accustomed to the offense and filling his role as the Wildcats really kind of found their identity these last few weeks.
I think the identity reminds me of a lot of Pat Fitzgerald's teams in the past that Nebraska's played and struggled with and had great battles with. What do you think the identity is of this Northwestern offense so far through their first 7 games?
Yeah, I think the defense has been solid all season, save for that opener maybe. They had a rough opener too. But the offense, just in these last few weeks, like I said, they've really focused on the ground game. Last week, they had 50 carries against Purdue. You look at their last 3 Big Ten games, UCLA, they ran it, I think it was 42 times, Penn State 42 times, and then 50 last week against Purdue. So that's their game now. Caleb Komolafe has really emerged as their ball carrier, as their main mail carrier, their bell cow in the backfield. And the offensive line, I think, is much more suited to run blocking than pass blocking. So they've really kind of found who they were these last few weeks, and it's made the difference.
Louis, it's almost like we didn't just talk this morning on the show, but I'm going to ask you. I want to expound a little more because you guys defensively are really good in the red zone. We talk bend, but don't break. Nebraska has struggled to score touchdowns. What is it about this defense, whether it's that quarters coverage, they tackle really well? What is it about that condensed field defensively that allows them to be so good when teams get into the red zone?
Yeah, I think you said it, right? So they play a lot of cover 4 in the back end. They like to play that shell, keep everything in front of them. And Northwestern's a very disciplined, sound, fundamental unit. They are where they're supposed to be. They plug their gaps they're supposed to be in, and they tackle really well. They're not going to give you big plays. They want you to, if you're going to score on them, they want you to go 10, 12 plays, and they want to limit you to field goals rather than touchdowns as much as possible. And in that condensed area, their back end isn't as far back anymore, so they're a lot closer to line of scrimmage, and they just do the same thing in a tighter area. I think they're just a tough team to score on, and it's because they're just fundamentally sound. They don't have a lot of big stars or anything like that, but they know how to play team defense.
Louis, Northwestern's 5-2, but in your opinion, how under the radar do they feel? It doesn't feel like they're getting a lot of talk like a 5-2 team. And if they were able to get to that 6th win this weekend, how big would that be for David Braun?
Oh, it'd be huge, right? It's a bowl game. I think that was kind of the goal, that really the standard this year. If they could make a bowl game, you feel like they had a good season, bouncing back from 4-8 last year. So that'd be a huge progress for the program, I think. And as far as being under the radar, I think that's just where they like it. Northwestern does not like being the favorite. They like being the underdogs. They like to go into stadiums like at Penn State and Nebraska and things like that and steal wins. That's kind of their MO. That's what they do. They don't get a lot of press. They don't get a lot of publicity, not a lot of big stars on the team. But that's the way they like it. They rather be the underdog than the favorite for sure.
Louis, we appreciate it, and enjoy it on Saturday. We'll see you in the press box.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks. We appreciate it. All right, let's go straight to viewer questions. We got a lot of them. And hi, Damon. So I have a question from Sam, and I have one from Ryan, and I have one from another phone caller, and they all want to know why they're not putting TJ Lateef in more for his mobility.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to somebody much smarter. I think the questions are fairly ridiculous. What I do think is if this, I will say to that, if the staff doesn't like the way that one of their best offensive players is playing, then play the other guy. As long as they do enjoy the way that Dylan Raiola is playing, then we should probably pass on this question.
Imagine if you're a defensive coordinator and the week of the game you're playing Nebraska, they bench their 5-star quarterback who is throwing at like a 5th best in the country completion rate, over 1,800 yards in conference play, and bench him to put in a freshman. Imagine how excited you'd be as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, you'd figure there must.
You could play in a 4, a 5,
Right.
a 6.
Well,
It wouldn't
you're-
matter. You
There
go
must be
eat,
something like
wouldn't you?
behind the scenes disciplinarian actually going on because I get it. I understand the frustration. I get frustrated at times as well. But when 15 is behind there, he gives them, they can do anything back there with his offense.
Yeah.
TJ's not there yet. So
Yeah.
I understand his attributes that he has, but Dylan gives him the full gamut of an offense, and that's why he's back there all the time.
What does it look like, Sean, recruiting-wise, 26, 27, in terms of more offensive linemen coming in?
You know, you look at what they've got coming in this class right now, mostly interior guys. They do have Mpuma, though,
Yes.
as a big tackle, but I really think they're going to have to go to the portal again. I mean, you're probably looking at 2 portal linemen coming in, and I'll be interested how the renegotiations go with current linemen that are maybe paid on the old structure system that aren't maybe in the 2 deep right now. How they, because those are the tough decisions now GMs have to make because of the limitations of the revenue sharing and how you want to redistribute your money with guys in the 2 deep and guys that aren't.
We're like family, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Chad wants to know, does Nebraska have a lack of talent problem or a coaching problem? Those are the only 2 choices he gave you.
No, that's okay. It's a little bit of both sometimes. I think, but mostly it's emotional immaturity. I like the staff. They're accomplished. I think Butler's is a good coach. I think Addison Williams is a good coach. Phil Simpson. Dana Holgerson is proven. So, Nebraska has an emotional maturity issue. And the coaches, it's their job to make sure that they put those guys in the best position to win football games, but it's also the players' responsibility to make sure that they're all in all the time. When those 2 things, when those 2 worlds collide, Nebraska would be just fine. We're ready to throw our arms up. Most people said 8-4. You had to lose 2. You have to lose 4 to get to 8-4.
That's right.
To throw the baby out with the bathwater, the inability to eat the meat and spit out the bones is fascinating.
So this is about 5 or 6 of these, obviously. What do you do with Donovan Raiola? You try to make a move. They made a move during the middle of the season. Last year, people are asking about that. Into the season, what do you think you do with the offensive line coach?
Well, I tell you what, it's discussions, and they need to be had about making this group better. That's no other way to put it. They've been had. I know that I'm not obviously there day to day, but those discussions are being had. I mean, this is important to get this group to be better. What do we have to do? Do we have to move guys around? Do we have to play different guys? Do we need to do different things in practice? Do we need to do more good on good? What needs to be done to get this group over this hurdle and protect Dylan better, run the football more efficiently? It's a very uncomfortable conversation you need to have. And here's what's going to happen. I feel rather confident if Donovan is not willing to do the necessary things that Coach Rule wants to get done, he probably won't be here.
Yeah.
And that's just
the way it
that's
works.
black and white.
Yeah.
And if he wants to be here, he'll make those changes and he'll get this group better. If he doesn't want to, then they'll find someone else who can do it.
I have a question for Sean, but before we get to that, let's take a look at the sideline survey. We usually catch that a little bit earlier. We asked the question, how's the Husker season going to end up? 35% saying 3-2 or 2-3. So 70% of those voting believe either 3-2 or 2-3. Sean, I asked this question. A few people have asked it. I'm going to read James's email. It says, it should be as obvious as the nose on your face, yet no one seems to see it. The reason we lost those damn all whites. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think anytime you do any uniform change, it's gonna create debate. I mean, we're gonna be all black for USC, and I'm sure if they don't play well, there's gonna be never wear the all blacks again. So that's how that stuff goes. I mean,
How many of those sacks do you think were over 3 seconds, Damon?
Over
Is
3
that-
seconds?
Is that the issue? The question basically is he holding the ball too long?
7 of them.
80%.
Yeah.
80%.
5-second sacks.
Yeah.
80% you had the ball more than 3 seconds. So, I mean, one time Emmett got trucked. Listen, he sold out. It's tough. I've been there.
Yeah,
Derek
they
Brooks.
slid down.
Yeah,
I
Derek
came off,
Brooks
that's
stood
the
on my
one. Yeah.
chest. Like, that happens,
Yeah.
right? You had the quick edge pressure with
Late.
Petula, but for the most part, 80% was more than 3 seconds.
This is an interesting question. Do you think we should see more 2-back sets or 12 personnel to handle the sack problem? I know you have.
So listen, it's different. It's not just playing 12 personnel. They play a lot of 12 personnel. It's where you put them and what your protection is to utilize 12 personnel.
All right, let's go to burning questions. Sean, you're first.
My burning question is, can Nebraska bring their energy for an 11 a.m. game? You know how these atmospheres can be, especially at 11 a.m., and the offense needs to come out and play a brand that the crowd's going to get behind right away.
Yeah, for me, it's easy. Is this personal? Sometimes the game of football just has to be personal. You get to solve problems with aggression. Is it personal?
Yeah.
Get the ball to number 2.
Can they get the ball to number 2?
Hey, you know how you guys get the ball out of the hands? Find
Yep.
number 2. Quick,
2-1
quick
as well.
quick to number 2.
Yeah.
The offense will be much better if they get it to Barney.
2 and 6 both. Mine is really simple. When Preston Stone throws you a pick, will Nebraska
have
catch
to
it?
catch it.
Because he will throw picks. He is a turnover-worthy play kind of guy.